Hello, everyone. My name is Sweta Ragmi. I am streaming live from Canada. I'm a career consultant at Teach and Do. Today, I'll go over how do you get those jobs during the holiday season. And as much as you are all thinking right now, maybe there is nothing going on, maybe everyone is taking those vacations and they're not hiring, you might want to rethink it. Now, one size does not fit all. I'd like to put the disclaimer on it. It all depends on the industry and the type of role you're targeting. And I'm going to share a couple of steps that I've used personally to get hired during the holiday season. Also, my clients as well, where they've been landing the role based on the targeted role, obviously. Okay. So let me know where you are watching me from. I will feature your comments and questions. I'll take some questions at the end. I plan to be here between 20 to 30 minutes, and we'll go over how do you strategize your job search during the holiday season. And, if you're not getting enough job leads right now, how do you get into that 2022 to end up on that preferred list? For those of you who do not know me, what I do is I teach do's and don'ts to job seekers in Canada, especially if you're a newcomer to Canada and you are having that issues of no Canadian experience. I bust that myth. I also teach people how do you bounce back after you are laid off. And if you're strictly dealing with the ageism, overqualified barrier as well, I walk you through. Now, I do fully customized sessions one-to-one, you and me, and it's more kind of like partnership for weeks. So that way you are able to have a mentor by your side just in case if you struggle. All right. You can visit our free resources on teachanddo.com. There are like a lot of information, including the job sites in Canada, and even people who are landing soon in Canada. You can download the handbooks under free resources. Feel free to download those resources. They're like a bunch of stuff that would prep you before you land in Canada. Any newcomers in Canada in the house, type in 1. Also type in 2 for those people who are going to be landing soon in Canada. And where are you landing? Share this video to anybody who might benefit. Especially, I'm going to talk about one industry today, retail industry, banking industry. And these are really broad, macro, which is when I talk about the banking industry, it's not only, the particular role. There are so many roles in banking industry, so many departments, and I'm going to walk you through how I got the job in banking industry. And it was all during the holiday season. All right. And retail industry as well. I was part of it, and it was all during the holiday season. I'm going to walk you through. All right. Let me just give you some. Oh, Montreal is in the house. Hi, Kushbu. Daniel. Hi. All right, perfect. So let me start and type in 3 for me if I'm sounding it all right. Everything is good to go because I definitely want to go through all those things without making sure that everything is all right and I sound good. I'm just checking everything here. Yes, I'm waiting for the comment because it's lagging. All right, making sure. Oh, before I begin, I just wanted to let you know that I pushed out my newsletter. It happened just last week, December 17. I pushed out the newsletter for within LinkedIn. I was not going to do it, but I thought that, I will try to go monthly. So I was so blessed. By the time I woke up, I think December 18, I already had 25,000 subscribers. Right now it's at 45,000 subscribers. And I'm so happy that you are actually subscribing to it. I plan to give you actionable item every month with an example and stuff like that. So hopefully you can go and subscribe it. It is on my feature sections. You can go and click and subscribe newsletter. Also, you can share that as well to anybody who are looking for a job in Canada, also who've been laid off and whatnot. So I plan to do that every month, and hopefully you get so many golden nuggets out of it. I've gotten great feedback what to include going forward, and it's been amazing journey with the newsletter in LinkedIn, and I'm so happy that I pushed it out. Okay, just looking at the comments, making sure. Okay, Kushbu said, I sound good. Perfect. Okay, because I want to make sure that everyone gets the benefit of this session. All right, this is the first step when it comes to job search. And no matter what, even if you want to get hired in seasonal, holiday season, or if you want to be permanent, if you want to be hired for a contract role, the first step that you want to ensure you're clear on what you want. And sometimes when it comes to holiday season, you might there's a benefit of widening your job search. So I'll give you an example. Okay, so let's say that for the banking, let's talk about example for the banking industry. So what happened was when I landed in Canada as a newcomer, I took on some volunteering role within the contact center, which was the IBM customer service. And that was the contact center, call center, where I did a little bit of sales, also the customer service, the front line. So I gained so much confidence from it. So what happened was I partnered with the agency who sent us for apprenticeship. And I told them, these are the job I'm going to target from now on. So I gave them a list. So I didn't have to be clear on what I wanted. What I was clear on is I want to work on the, contact center, and I don't mind sales. So what I did was I targeted the company which were the recruiting agencies. And what I'm talking about is there are a bunch of recruiting agencies, and you got to be very clear on picking the right one. And I see where people go wrong is everywhere the job seekers, they just go and dump that resume to any recruiters, not knowing what market they're hiring for. Not every recruiters are going to be hiring for everything. They're usually known for specific role and specific industry. That's where you got to develop the marketing plan. And I teach all of that in my program. How do you come up with a marketing plan? It's one piece of puzzle when it comes to job search. That's a baseline and foundations. And if you're not clear on who are hiring, you are going to be suffering to get that dream role soon. So now here's what I did. So I partnered with the agency and I said, anytime, doesn't matter, even if it's a temp work, even if it's a seasonal work, you know what? Put my name on a priority list. And what happened was a lot of people, what they think is, I'm not going to take the seasonal work. If you're unemployed, I definitely want you to take a look into it. Whether do you want to sit home and, unemployed, or do you want to go out there and do some seasonal job which is going to open the door for you? So I was one of them. I didn't want to sit home. I wanted to take a chance. As long as it was a contact center and sales where I can make extra money on it, I'm willing to go and even take up the seasonal job so it opens. So what happened in this time is I got hired by the top bank. It was seasonal job, during Christmas. So what happened in that is it was a bigger department, which was fraud, loss, and prevention. All right. For those of you who want to go into the banking world or any world that you want to get in, what we tend to do is we just look at, I want to be fraud and loss prevention officer one day, right? That's a big. There's a fraud and loss, and there's the authorization officer. There are like so many title underneath within that department. We forget about other title in there. So what I did was, okay, I'm okay with one part of that fraud and loss. So I was hired for being an authorized officer. It was a small role for seasonal. All I did was activating the credit card. It was credit card industry, activating the card and, authorizing the credit card and dealing with the merchant. And there are like a bunch of stuff added in my role. And it was just for seasonal hiring only. What that did to me was I understood the banking tools, they are using it. I also understood how the fraud and loss department works overall that I had no idea about. And I understood what kind of clientele they had as well. And that was a big lesson for me. So for those of you who are thinking of, you know what, I'm not going to take a seasonal role, let's say, I want you to take a look at it. All the posting right now is going on. I looked at so many. If you type in holiday season work or seasonal work, hiring during the Christmas in LinkedIn or in Indeed, I looked at it. There are so many roles that they were hiring for, especially in this industry. Now, that was the banking industry that I had no idea about. I only knew it because I registered my name into this temp agency. So the first step is to register with the agency who have exclusive right for that market, for that industry. There are a lot of companies, recruiting agencies, they just get the contract from this big five bank, and they big five bank would not even bother recruiting you directly because short time, right? So they depend on this agency, and there's a contract. They sign it, and depends on, like, depends on if they are going to, let's say, increase the contract. Normally they will always, if you're hired for 3 months, I've seen it for myself and for my client as well. Even if you're hired for a short-term contract, they tend to extend it. And if you're really good at what you do and they need you, guess who's going to be on the list? You. Because they give the agency feedback as well, and then agency would be putting you on the priority. All right. So what happened was I got the seasonal job, and I thought, okay, well, I want to now go into the banking world and sales. And that's how I started honing my skills into the contact center world. And, that built my confidence and everything. Now, you gotta go and find out who's recruiting, step one, and only work with the people who are going to hire for industry like you. There's no point of going and registering your name in each and every agency when you know that they're not the right person. This is where people waste a lot of time, because registering with the agency, temp agency, it's a good deal, but it takes a lot of time. And people just focus on, I want to go direct hiring, right? And then they might not even know, they're going to be hiring soon or not. So you got to put yourself on the temp, like the agency's list, where you got to keep on following. The second thing is, you don't just go and put your resume online for them and then just wait. I've literally heard agency people, when I was waiting online for one of my client, I overheard them saying to other people on the phone, "You got to keep on calling every week, because that's how I know that you want the job. You are gonna go on top of the pile. So don't just put your ego down and start, like, asking question though first. Hey, how do you like me to contact you? Do you want me to contact you every week? Do you want me to contact you every 2 weeks? How does that work for you, right? Because you don't want to be that person who's going to be annoying calling every day. Make sure the expectations are clear from the both parties, and if they want you to call every week as a gentle reminder, because they don't know if you want the work or not, right? Make it easy for them and stand out as well, because next thing you know what, they're going to think about you. They're like, oh, I just talked to Sweta yesterday, and I know she's looking for the job in this environment. I'm going to call them first. Now, coming to the relationship aspect, right? No matter where you go, you got to build that relationship and keep on showing up, and then right time's going to come in. And that's how I got the job, first job in banking industry. And I left, and guess what happened after? So they didn't renew the contract for any of us, and then I left. And then later on, there's a posting that came up into the branch banking, and I applied, and they offered me the role. Just because I was seasonal hire, I knew their tools and everything. Now I don't have to learn their tools anymore. So they offered me the role, but I said no, because I already had another offer from the banking industry and I went somewhere else. So here's why it's really important for you to take on that seasonal job, and then, climb up the ladder. And this applies to especially the newcomers in Canada. Stop thinking about, I want to be there right now. Start thinking about, how do I get from the short-term goal to the long-term goal? And it works beautifully if you know how to do it, if you have a right recruiting agency who's going to represent you. Also, there's nothing wrong with, reaching out to the direct manager, hiring managers, or recruiters from the company. But, it needs to be all rounded, just don't stop not looking at the temp agencies. I know some of the agencies have a bad name, but you know what? It has done the wonder for me. So the second step that what I did, and I also tell my clients, are if you are active on LinkedIn only, that's not the only source that you are going to see the job. You are going to have to go and see where the job postings are normally happening. LinkedIn recruiter tools are really expensive. I know the banking industry or any other, company who are really, who make billions of dollars in profit, they can afford it, but not like the mid-sized companies and everything. They don't really recruit like, use the expensive tool. So they might post it on their website and they already have ATS built on, right? And then you want to probably go there first and see. Normally, when I'm teaching client, because what I do is when I'm teaching client, I tell them, hey, is the job posted? Let's work on it, right? Normally, what happens that I've seen based on my experience is when they post it out into the other job posting site, it's a little bit late. And it's happened to me as well as a job seeker when I was applying, when I got laid off. When I started applying, I thought LinkedIn was the first tool for job search. And I went in there. And by the time I applied, I kid you not, the link was expired. It was expired. I was like, oh my God, I spent so much time prepping for resume and everything, customizing it. And the link was done. I was so mad. That's when the lesson was learned. And it's still happening till this day. And they're a bank and they're an industry where they post it and they take it out within a week. And they don't have to wait. There are hiring managers who's going to be like, hey, I got the qualified candidate. You know what? I'm not going to interview anymore. So it has happened. It has personally happened to me as well. When I got a job in another banking industry later on, they took the posting out and they said, hey, do you want to apply for this posting? And then they just put it for a couple of hours and they took it out because I was already a preferred candidate for that role. So that's why you need to go into the direct job website and see when it got expired or when is it going to be expired. So, and then also I want you to go and take a look at all those job posting site and see if they're still there as well. LinkedIn is not the only tool that you should go again and depend on the job posting. You got to utilize all those tools outside, Indeed, their direct website. And sometimes I've seen my client, actually one of the client got the interview and got the offer for, just because she was following Instagram. And I was like shocked. As Instagram, like we're like looking everywhere, and you got on the spot offer on Instagram. And you know how she got it was, I tell clients to go and subscribe to their career newsletter, because a lot of companies, they send out the career newsletter, and that actually tells you when is the hiring season, right? Depending on what they put it in there. And then she got into that, and there was a job fair happening, and she got into that. That's how she knew. And then she got interview on the spot. It was a batch hiring, and on the spot, they offered her and said like, hey, come back, work with us, right? And this was banking industry, and I want you to think about it. When you're thinking about top banking industry or top companies, I just don't want you to think about they're the only one who's hiring directly. They might have outsourcing. For example, when I was working in the banking industry, our credit card division was outsourced to someone else. It almost seemed like the associates were taking call, but all the operations and everything was handled by somebody else, different party. So you got to also know who are their vendors. And these are type of marketing plan you got to know, understand how do they hire, who are their vendors, and how can you get your name out there? Because once you start working with their vendors, it's easy later on saying that I already know your tools. Normally they mirror one another all the time. You already know, and you can go directly later on. So I want you to think about that. And there's a list of companies name that I have on our website. I'm gonna put it in there. You can go right here. I drop. Okay, there's a list of company. I put it in the link in there. It actually gives the companies who are hiring for a specific industry Go and take a look at it. So I don't know, it didn't post. I'm gonna go and put it in there later on. But it's on our website where there is a blog, and then under the blog, you can go and see the top. It says top 50 job posting website, and then you can go and see who is in charge of hiring for typical companies, and it gives you so many informations. Okay, I don't know why the comment didn't go through. So, third step, I came from the world where referral was a huge deal. Personally, I'd refer so many newcomers in Canada. For those of you who do not know me, what I did for a living, I used to be hiring manager in Canada, top bank in the world. And I worked there for more than 12 years. And you know what? I got laid off. And then I had to be a job seeker, and I learned so much lessons. Now I teach people. I resign, I teach people how do you bounce back in Canada in the workforce. So, as a hiring manager, I always depended on my team and staff. First of all, before we even posted, we used to get an email from HR saying that this season we're going to be hiring. In banking world, for those of you who are looking for a job, seasonal jobs, there are so many out there. We used to hire for RSP season. There's a RSP season, which is usually end of the year. And there's like not only on the phone, there's an operation team. They're looking for people like you in a mail room because you have to send those mail to the people at the year end. T5, when you make more than $50 in Canada as an interest, that counts as the income. So we had to send it into, right? Like, there's so many things within that banking industry that you could be part of it and take on that seasonal role and see if you like it, because sometimes grass is always greener. I refer one other client, he got hired in mailroom during the RSP season, and it was a holiday season. He got hired and he was so excited to work for that bank. But later on, he was like, that job is not for me. What that does is when you're working a seasonal job, that actually you can self-reflect and see, do you see yourself as a fit? So instead of quitting every 3 months, you've identified that's not a job for you, and now you're going to move on to the different role, right? But let's say if you like it, then later on, if there are permanent people that are looking for, you're going to be on the priority list if you did the good job out of it. People are watching you. So you got to make sure that you know what departments are hiring. It's not only one person. So you need to know the hiring season. So in a bank, again, fraud and loss is going to be huge, because what's going to happen now? Christmas season, people are going to shop, and do you know there's a tool that I have a couple of clients working in the AML industry and a fraud and loss department as well. The system actually gives them an alert of it. If there's any unusual transactions, anything like that, all day they're monitoring it. There's a queue, they're clearing it. They're like, it's going crazy. And these banks are hiring from exclusive agencies, right? You need to know who are hiring in AML and who are exclusive in hiring fraud and loss and everything. So if you don't know right now, you got to sit and start doing those information interviews, what I say. And also I want you to go and reach out to the people. Referral. Now, referral, this is where people go wrong when it comes to, asking for a referral. A lot of people came to me because I was a hiring manager. They're like, hey, this is my resume. If something comes up, let me know. I don't even know them. And I'm like, I don't know their work ethic. And I never put my name out there for someone that I did not know. But if I've seen them in action or something, I didn't mind putting my reputation online. And usually when I say it to HR or my friends, hey, this person is really good, they're going to overlook it because now I'm guaranteeing the work they do, right? So this is where people go wrong, is reaching out to total stranger without building a relationship and, asking for referral. And it's a hit or miss. I have said no to referral from internal employee based on their reputation, because the referral they actually put it forward didn't turn out to be good couple of times. So anytime the person referred me, I was like, I don't know. The person was doing it for money. There are two kind of people in this world. One person would refer you genuinely because they believe in your expertise. The other person do not care. That's not their headache, but they're like, you know what? I make money. Each referral they used to make $500 to $1,000. So money was the biggest factor. So later on, what we did as a company was we said, okay, referral's not working out. So we're going to put, you only get the referral if the person sticks around until 6 months, right? If the management team, for me, if I wanted to fire them, I would fire them within 3 months because they have a probation period if I don't like them. So they're not going to get a referral free, because this is why getting your name out there with the reputed people versus, like, anyone would cost you that dream role. Sometimes not going with the referral is a blessing in disguise. All right. So reach out to the people that they have very good reputations within the team, within HR only. Also, go back to the people you already know. They have seen your work and they will do anything, especially the advocate, right? So they have seen you in action. So you don't have to sell yourself so much. Let them be your advocate. And this is where the referral needs to be handpicked, because it's going to cost you that dream role if the referral is not the right pick. So what I used to do was, when it comes to the referral, I went back to the people who'd already seen my work, previous management or previous colleague, right? It's like having that information interview sessions, not connecting them on LinkedIn. So I put the networking strategy, and I'm going to put the link on it later on. You can go and see there under job search blog. There is a networking script. I used similar kind of strategy when I'm reaching out to the people that I knew. So I started from the personal social media. It was like Facebook. Normally, Facebook was huge at that time. So it started from Facebook. So I started seeing their pictures. I started to show up when they were celebrating something. I started to be part of them. I just showed up for them. And hit them on a DM later on. Now that I've repatched the relationship, right? And I've asked them, hey, how's it going? Are you still there? What are you working on? I'm going to ask a lot of questions to the old people that I already know. And then, of course, they're going to ask me, oh, okay, what have you been up to? Then I'm going to drop the ball of, hey, you know what? Let's say I was laid off or whatever happened to you, right? And I am really having hard time bouncing back. And let's see, these are the areas. You got to be clear on what you want, right? These are the areas I am looking forward. Do you know, when do you normally hire in this department? I want the action item for you is, I don't want you to leave that chat and talk without asking this question, okay? Because a lot of people are like, I'm just looking for it, right? But then, okay, looking for it, but then I don't know if the person wants my help or not, right? People are not proactive, so you have to lead them. You're going to say, you know what? When is your hiring season? Do you know? Next step. When do you normally hire? Because here's the catch. If they're not going to hire during Christmas and holiday season or seasonal job or contract, if their fiscal year is, from July to July or October to October, now everybody, I work with the company, not everybody works from calendar year. It's like July to July they hire, and there's no hiring. Sometimes they hire in batch. They already have those meetings. As a hiring manager, we already knew how many people we're going to hire on what day, on what month. We used to get that communication before it even went out to the floor. All right. So that's why you got to know, in a team, in your relationship, it could be family and friends, but ask them, hey, have you heard about this? When are you going to be hiring? And when do you normally post? And one company I work for, they posted every Friday. Any job posting came out around Friday. So I knew the Friday posting, there would be job posting. So you got to do the homework on it. So it was the best, because then I started putting all things together on weekend, and Monday morning, they got my resume, right? So you also need to know what date they post. I'm telling you, you got to be so good at research that, when the season comes in, you're right there. I also did, the other thing was doing information interview. So if they don't have any answer, I said to them, do you have anyone who knows, like, do you have any contacts for me? If they don't have any answer, right? That's not their fault. Not everybody knows what's going on within the company. So always give them that benefit of doubt and ask them, like, who can I talk to? That's the action item. All right. We went through that. First step is to understand the hiring process and budget and hiring freeze, right? So basically, budget what it is hiring managers have this, the budget head counts for this year. And sometimes what happens is if you don't hire this year, then you know what, you're not going to hire until the next batch or something. It just doesn't happen. Like, I don't wake up one day and say, I need to create the role, right? It takes time because it has to go to the HR, it has to go to my manager, and they need to give me the budget and headcounts and everything. And I'm like, I need to create the case. I need more people, right? It's a whole lot of work. It takes time. So if you want to get in that list, you got to build a connection with the hiring manager directly and understand the process and be on the preferred list. And a lot of people think that it's a hidden job market. It's not. Hidden job market doesn't happen like quite often into the particular industry. It all depends on what kind of industry. But what I say is get on the preferred list. And I've done that as a management. I already knew who I wanted to hire. And I created the role and I said, okay, well, I ended up hiring internally. Even though I posted, I didn't get anyone from outside. So I ended up hiring internal people and then I ended up, training them. So this is why it's really important to know if there's a hiring freeze, if there's a layoffs happening, chances are they're going to be calling. But there's a mandate. If you have laid people off and the person can do the job, you're supposed to pull them off unless they're not the right fit. But they are the first one to get the job back. Okay. So you want to make sure you understand before you start to like wait for that ideal company. So the fifth one is one thing I cannot tell you enough is I don't know why we always look for like top companies. I've worked with the employers of choice. Don't get me wrong, I'm proud of it. I've learned so much, but grass is not always greener all the time with these employers because you know what, things break. There's some toxic workplace environment. You know what I mean? So like don't think that what they are a dream role. It all depends. So I really want you to take a look into it and widen your job search as well and start looking into the startup company. So for example, I don't know if you've seen it, LinkedIn came out with the top startup company in Canada last month, I believe. Go and take a look at it and maybe put them on a targeted list and then also the industry as well. There are so many startup companies that are really doing good. Understand that. And then there's not much of red tape going on with a startup company. Usually hiring is, I mean, like they're new in HR. They might not even have HR. You're literally dealing with, the company's owner or something like that. But you know what? Start to put them on the list as well and see how things are because if you're the person who actually it depends on what you like. Do you want to work for the company where there's like aggressive target? Because all those employers of the choice, top companies, I'm not kidding, they have like a lot of aggressive targets. I've been part of the team. Even the managements are audited, right? So like we had to produce the result, like we had to make sure we had a high performing team, and if the person's not doing something, then I had a timeline to coach them or like performance manage. There are so many things going on. One of the client, I told him last time when he was a newcomer in Canada, he got multiple offers within 45 days, and he picked on the employers of the choice, and I warned him, are you okay with it? Because you have the other offers. Do you want to go with the other one? Because I've worked with these companies and they really have like, it's, I don't know if you like the environment. I warned him. After 2 months, he said, I quit, and he got the other job. He couldn't handle it. He's like, that's not the environment, right? You might not be made for those top companies sometimes. So start looking into the startup company and see if you like it and put the list together. Hopefully that makes sense. So the other thing, what I did, whenever like, holiday season came in, whether I was employed or unemployed, genuinely, I reach out to the people who made an impact. And especially if you're job seekers, obviously money is going to be a problem. But again, sometimes it's not only about money, offer the gratitude, right? There's a LinkedIn kudos. I don't know if you've used it. And if you really liked working with someone in the past, how about you put it in there? Hey, kudos for always being there, right? Word means so much. If someone has, let's say, in the past, done something for you, you know, go out there and thank them and show up for them when they post something, like it and comment on their post, right? So, why do people post? Whether it's Facebook, social media, LinkedIn, people post so that way people they know that someone's reading. And if by you showing up, that's already in gratitude. And then, like, what you've learned, also share their contents. And what I'm talking about is here is the old relationship you had. The best way to repatch is to show up for them with a strategy, but not faking it. Genuinely, though, do it genuinely, right? So I've always, like, done in the holiday season, whatever it is, whoever made an impact to me, either, it could start for $5 gift card, Tim Hortons card, Starbucks, $10, right? Or, meet up for a coffee chat, Christmas dinner. It's not huge. And sometimes just get them, like, wine, like $10, $20, whatever, small thing. It's a thought that counts, because if you really appreciate someone who did really good, so let's say someone referred you, someone put your resume from here to someone else, someone provided you the contacts, these are something people don't do it. Why should they do it for you, right? So you gotta pay back in kind, right? So always make sure that whenever someone does a even smaller thing, you make it known to them how much you appreciate it. I still go back to my previous relationship. Whenever I'm writing the blog, whenever I'm doing posting something, I send them a link and say, this was for you. And these are my previous manager, previous mentors. I don't have to do it because I'm not going to go back to the corporate world, right? I'm not looking for a job, but, like, I genuinely wanted to go there and do it. So you never know. Someday, they might put my name for something. You never know, but I'm not doing it for someday. I am genuinely doing it. So it's not only about the money during holiday season. It's about offering them, thank you so much for being there for me, and do it for everybody. I want you to take a look at it today and go back, put the list together. Who really loved your work? They've seen your work, they've seen your ethics. Who provided the reference for you in the past? They didn't have to provide the reference. They did not have to do a damn thing. They should have said, like, no, I'm not going to offer you reference. Everything. Reference. Who actually put your name and introduced you to somebody else. That's a gratitude. Who actually put your resume and then, forward it to someone else. I want you to take a look at that, put the name together, holiday season, and then I want you to go back and hit their DM today and say, thank you for doing that. It meant the world for me. Even if you have a job right now, you know what? You might not have that job tomorrow. Don't just look for a job right now. Holiday season's coming up. There are a lot of layoffs happening. People are going to be out. Great resignation is happening right now. Just because you have that fancy title today, it might not happen in the new year. You know what? That happened to me. I worked for 12 years and I was laid off in 1 minute. That was a mass layoff. Did I see it coming? Slightly. But you know what? What made me bounce back was all those relationships I already earned. And I didn't even put my references from my past manager. All those people who gave me references were, like, people that I patched up relationship with them. You know what I did? Every time they quit, they got laid off, I reached out to them while I had a job and I said, I'm so sorry that happened. You know what? Thank you so much for being part of my career. And that got me references when I reach out to them later on. I said, I don't want to go back to the management currently working there. Is it okay if I use you as a references? These are the people who gave me references. You know why? Because I thank them genuinely. So I want you to think about it, build a list, and reach out to the old people who've done something for you. Doesn't matter the small things. It would mean the world to them. All right? So check out the networking script on teachingdo.com. I'm going to put the links there. Let me see if there's anything at all. I don't see your name. It says LinkedIn user. I have applied more than 30 jobs. I don't get called. I'm wondering either it's my resume. Could be. See, not by looking at it, I would not know. If you're in Canada, feel free to book an appointment and then I can take a look into it. Normally if you apply for 30 job, you're not even getting single interview. To me, the marketing plan is not clear. Niche market is not clear, or the resume is not connecting well with the employers, right? Like a lot of people, when it comes to resume, they're thinking about, okay, well, I bring this, but employers are thinking, you know what, why I need to hire them? You're like, there's probably gap on the resume, I'm thinking. So now, all right, I'm picking questions and seeing there. Oh, this is where you can go and download on teachanddo.com under blog sections. You can go and download the free resources and everything. Also read the blog as well. I'm just looking at it right now. Okay, for those of you who want to go and download the free resources in Canada for job search, you can go and download it under free resources. All right, I think it's not loading up. There's like something going on. All right, so I'm going to leave it there. And today's, just to recap, today is holiday season. People are hiring. You need to understand who is hiring, develop the list of people who are hiring, and get on their inbox right now. Even if it's not working right now for you, then there are companies who are going to be hiring in January, February, March. They're going to pump it up. They're hiring for a talent pool, make you ready for summer season as well, right? These bigger companies, they just don't hire you right now and you're right now working. They normally train you for 2 to 3 months or something. And I've done that as a hiring manager. We would hire, but then you're not ready until summer. So you got to build a list and find out who's hiring. For January 2022, they train you. And I got hired in December for most of the job. That was one of the banking job right after I got graduated, and the retail industry as well, and sales as well. I was hired during season, and they employed me part time until I found the full time job, and I quit and I resigned. So it only works if you're clear on what you want, and if you know who do you reach out to. Don't waste your time on just online applications without knowing when they hire. Also, one more thing is update the resume all the time, because what worked 3 months ago, you might not end up in a recruiter search, because what recruiters do is they look at the Boolean search and they normally look at the recently updated resume. There's a tool in Indeed, they look at it. So I'm going to possibly put all those things, how do recruiters search you on different website with a screenshot and everything. I plan to bring that on a next newsletter. Go ahead and subscribe. LinkedIn, it's on a LinkedIn feature item if you want to be part of it. I also would like you to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. I go live there and you can go and scroll past. There are tons of videos. And if you are struggling in Canada to bounce back, if you're a newcomer and you know you're qualified, and also the laid off folks who are having hard time bouncing back, and people who feel they feel a little bit overqualified, and there's been stigma around ageism. And if you're one of those, I hear you. And you know what? Let's talk and see if I can be your mentor and guide you to bounce back as quickly as we could. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you a happy holiday. And this is my last live for 2021. Any feedback, I have open message. Please send me a message on LinkedIn. I'd be more than happy to chat, take this further if we can work together. All right. Thank you so much. Have yourself a fantastic holiday season.